Right team, welcome back to Caravan Carps and another Tackle Tuesday. In this Tackle Tuesday, what we're going over is the Thinking Anglers luggage range that I currently own. So what I'm looking to give you is my real-time honest review. I'm not going to do what everybody else does and go over dimensions and denier of material and all that sort of thing, because the truth is 9 times out of 10 people don't really care about that. What they want to know is what's good about it, what's bad about it, why you use it, and what you change from to get to this point. Because I find everybody's got a journey with the luggage and stuff like that they buy. And what I'll do is I'll talk you through my luggage journey and as of where I've got and whether I still use these bits of items that I've got. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to completely clear the table and I'll go through each individual item one at a time. I've got some that are absolute favourites, you know, and I would never get rid of, and then others that I'm not too bothered about. So I'll take you through that now. Right, so now I've cleared everything off, I'm going to take you through my first piece of luggage that I want to talk about, and this is the Thinking Anglers Rucksack. As I said, I own this in the Camfleck range, you know. There's the olive range, but to be honest, I actually think it's quite smart. I'm not really a big fan of DPM or anything like that. I was in the military for 14 years, and I hate the sight of DPM, you know, the standard British DPM. It's not for me, but some people it is, you know. You've got quite a cult following, but I do actually quite like the design of this from a fashion point of view, but it's not really why I chose it. So I initially started off with the Fox Camelite rucksack, and that was a great rucksack, you know, quite well made. I found the straps did seem like they'd possibly not last the test of time, but it was quite a smart rucksack. And the only issue was with it is if you're looking to dispose of a body at a lake, then that's the rucksack for you. You know, it's massive. And I ended up selling it to a friend. And the reason I sold it to a friend is because I felt like I was just whacking loads of stuff in it and it was really unorganized. And I'm not that guy. I need to be organized. I'm really OCD with organizing things. Not to the level putting loads of little bags in. I just need to have little compartments. And what this rucksack does have is little compartments inside. So what I found is, to be honest, I'm the sort of person is between sessions, I empty my bags and then repack for that session. So obviously most of this luggage is empty as I'll repack it for the next session. And inside this rucksack, you've got a number of little compartments. And what you can fit in there, they fit really well. You can get a gas canister in here. You can get like your tubes for your PVA. I tend to put a toilet roll in there as well. And then through the middle, that's where you can get your bigger items. So I tend to put like my zig discs and things like that in there, hook boxes, rig boxes, that sort of thing. One thing to note about this, it's also got a few little pockets in the top, which are really handy for keeping, you know, a bit like indicators. Like, well, in here, I've got my jag tool in there. I've got some tablets, floater gear. No, it's not floater, actually. Adjustable zig, floats. So they're just bits that have been left in there. And then the top compartment, which is here, which is really good for putting your buzz bars in. And it's also got another zippable compartment. So I find that really good. I do like this top bit as well because my Jag my Jag pod bag fits on the top of this. So what I do is I tend to fit my Jag bag on there and keep it there. So one thing to note, and it does fit perfectly, you can fit a quarter tackle box in this front pocket, and that'll be quite important to some people because that's, obviously, it's a cult tackle box nowadays and most people have got it. It's got a number of little toggles there as well, and bits of material for putting your bank sticks in. So the reason I bought this was for at the caravan to do my roving kind of stuff in the background, and it fitted perfectly. You know, I was using single sticks with my alarms on, which fitted in here perfectly. I could get things strapped on top, so sometimes I put my Jag pod bag on there or my scales pouch, and then the side pockets have got just enough space to have so what I put in the side pockets is the Ridge Monkey small kettle, you know, the square kettle. It's a terrible kettle and you'll burn yourself with it. So I wouldn't recommend buying that kettle. However, it does fit perfectly when you're looking for a compact setup in the Thinking Anglers pocket here. And then I used a small stove from Tracker that just fits in there as well. Not the big one that opens up, just the standard round one that screws on top of a gas canister. And that was what that was for. And I am pretty happy with the Thinking Anglers rucksack. You know, it was a good choice to move from the Fox one, and it fitted what I wanted it for much better than the Fox one did. So not that there was much wrong with the Fox one, it's just too big for my liking. One thing I don't like about this rucksack is being ex-military, I'm used to wearing Bergens and stuff like that, and I find this rucksack sits too high on your back, and I don't find it particularly comfortable. You know, if it was really heavy, and it's only a small rucksack, you know, you're quite limited to what you can get in there. I find it uncomfortable up high on my back. You know, I've got a bad back. I've got 2 slip discs in my back, so I find that that's its only real downfall. But that's pretty much what you want to know. I find these toggles on the side, you can fit a catapult in them. You can see them there, but I think they're a bit of a gimmick, in all honesty. I don't use them myself. So yeah, that's about it really. That's as much as you really need to know. Great, well-made piece of kit. And when I come to the end of this video, I'll tell you a problem that all this luggage has. But I think all luggage of this type has the same problem. Right, so I'll move on to the next item. Right, so the next item I'm going to go over is the Thinking Anglers Carryall. And this carryall is one of my favourite bits of luggage I've ever owned. So what this carryall did is it taught me to slim down. I think the whole Camfleck and Thinking Anglers luggage range, what necessarily just the Camfleck, that's the colour, but the whole Thinking Anglers luggage range is based upon you slimming down your gear. It's not designed to be taking absolutely everything with you on the bank, and I find it makes you become more efficient. So carryall wise, you can see to my left behind me there, I had the tracker barrel bag, and again that was huge. I bought that when I first started to buy a new set of luggage, and you know, it's great, it's a good bag that you can fit in, it's well made and stuff like that, but it's huge, and I wanted something a little bit smaller. Because so what I tended to use this for was my camera bag and other bits and bobs at the start, and then I just add things to it. For example, in the front of here I'd put my Ridge Monkey battery pack and all my leads and stuff like that I needed inside it. And to be honest, it's only small, but it's amazing what you can actually fit in this carryall. It's quite a good use of space, and you get, you know, you've got quite a deep rectangular space that fits really well. I have my bed on the highest setting when I can, and that fits nicely under the head or the foot of my bed, so I do like it for that. And then you get these 2 pockets on the side, and I just used to put bits and bobs like hook sharpening kits and things like that in there. But nowadays, I've gone back, because I've been winter fishing, and obviously the kit that I've been taking has been quite minimal. Bait's been minimal, etc. And I'm trying to really slim down my fishing. I've just been taking these Camfleck bags under my barrow, and I use the Fox Explorer barrow. So if anybody would be interested in me doing a review on the Fox Explorer barrow and why I love that barrow, that's something I'm willing to do. And I've got a couple of little hacks and tips and stuff like that for that barrow that I've done. So if anybody's interested, get in the comments below and let me know, and that's something I could do. I'll show you how I set my barrow up, and I'm in love with that barrow, to be honest. The only thing I'd change that barrow for is a motorised one, and I had the Nash Trax all-terrain before that. Solid barrow, had it for years, but once I got the Fox, it was a game changer. Anyway, so yeah, this carryall now has become, for winter, it's just basically been my spare clothes bag, and this lives in the van with all my spare clothes, and it's amazing how many sets of clothes and socks and everything, spare hats and that you can fit in this bag. But yeah, if I could recommend any Thinking Anglers luggage, this is one of my favourite ones. It's my second favourite bit of Thinking Anglers kit that I've got, and something I'm really happy with. If I was giving all my money for this back, would I buy it again? Hands down, yeah. Would I be that bothered about the rucksack? No, it's decent, but don't use it enough, because I have a camera bag on my back most of the time. But obviously, this luggage has got to fit your style of angling. You know, some people like to take loads of stuff. Some people like to take only a little bit of stuff. But for me, apart from roving at the caravan, the Thinking Anglers rucksack is nor here nor there for whether I'd need it, if that makes sense. So yeah. Right, so that's that done now, and I'll move on to the next item. I'll save the best for last. So you've probably seen in my videos that I tend to use, bear with me 2 seconds while I just get the other bits and bobs, the Thinking Anglers rod sleeves, and I really like these. There are a couple of flaws to them, and I'll go through that with you now, but the material's great. Top tip, don't leave rigs on your rods and put them inside these sleeves, especially if they're barbed, because you will literally have to pull it inside out. There's no zip on the front of this, so it is a solid bit of material. So the rod slides in through the hole at the back, and it's not got a zip on it. So if you put a rig in there, advice from somebody who's done it, you will find that you have to pull it inside out and cut it out, and it is a nightmare. So top tip, don't leave rigs on when you're using these. What they have at the back is an extendable piece of elastic. So I've got both 12-foot and 13-foot rods, and these work for both them rods really well. You know, I find that the real compartment is spacious enough. You know, sometimes you find with other rod bags that it's not spacious enough, you know, and you find that's the issue. So the reason I went to using these is because I originally started off on the 10-foot rods using the top tips, and I bought these at the Norval Angling Show when I first seen them. I've had these quite a few years now, from when they literally, I think they pretty much first came out, and these were great. You know, they offer no protection to your rods, so you have to be careful with your rods. But if you're not that bothered, for example, just using cheap rods, and you can get real protectors, but I never bothered with them, you know. And if you're just doing fast and light, so what I used to do is I used to put my 10-foot rods inside my mat, and I just used to put them in my mat with them on the top and the bottom, and then I'd carry stuff when I was going carrying stuff, fishing the back lakes on the caravan. That's what I bought them for, and I still use them on my scopes at the caravan. They can go down to really small rods and all the way up to 13-foot rods if you require, but they don't offer no protection, you know, and they just keep your rods together. So it's handy for that. They're great for when you store your rods, but throwing a tenner at something for storing rods is quite a lot of money, really, in all honesty. But each to their own sort of thing. Anyway, the reason why I started using the Thinking Anglers rod sleeves was because I started off with a tracker rod bag, and it was the one that fits 5 rods in it, and it was huge. It was absolutely massive, and when I had my 3 rods in, my spod and my marker rod, I felt like it was just taking over my entire barrow. And because these have individual like little sleeves and they clip together, you can actually clip them together with these 2 clips here. They clip all together and I clip them all. They do a quiver, but I've never felt the need to want a quiver, in all honesty, because you can put a brolly in that, but I don't use a brolly system. I use a Tempest for my brolly system, if that makes sense, not a conventional brolly system. So I've never really found the need. One niggle that I do have with these, and it can be a bit of a pain, is when they're all clipped together, the rods can slide about and swing about. So what I've tended to do is I get a little bit of Velcro, and when all my rods are together side by side, I just whack a little bit of Velcro around the top, and what that does is it stops them all moving about, and I found that's what gets rid of that niggle. That's been the only really issue. I have bent an eye in these, so the protection isn't that thick, but you kind of got to weigh up the pros and cons, and to be honest, I absolutely love these. You know, I wouldn't really change them for anything else. I've had the tracker one, then I bought a Fox single spod rod sleeve as such, you know, the one that zips all the way up and down. The Fox, I think it's like the R series, and I found that a nightmare to get my rod in and out of, so that one never gets used, to be honest. I basically use that to store my spare spod rod. But for my 10-foot infinity rods, I have the Sonic SK, I think it's called, 3 rod bag, and you can fit 3 rods in it, and I'll show you that now because I've got it to hand. And it's this one here, and it's in quite a nice camouflage material. You know, it's quite smart, and I know people look at Sonic like it's a budget material, but I tell you what, hands down, this is the best rod bag that I've ever owned. I wouldn't swap this for any other rod bag that I've seen on the market. I'm really happy with this. You know, I like the way it's made. It fits the rods in well. There's plenty of protection. You've got pockets here for your nets and things like that, and you can also clip your spod rod. So this bit comes off, and you can fit your spod rod and another spare rod, like a spod and marker rod, in here. And I tell you what, for Sonic gear, which people will probably slate saying, but I'm not a tackle snob in that respect. I might have lots of expensive tackle, but I don't care if it's right. It doesn't need to match. And I tell you what, this is a phenomenal bag. So for 10-foot rods, not retractable butt rods, just standard 10-foot rods, this is my favourite rod bag that I've ever owned, and I'd never get rid of this. But at the same time, bear me 2 seconds while I just put this back. They do a Sonic extending single rod sleeve, and I bought that for my Infinity Mini Spod, and I tell you what, it's crap. It's absolutely terrible. So coming from what I find being the best 10-foot rod bag I've owned, And I have seen the things like the, my dad's got the one for the Nash, you know, that big daft one, which ain't my cup of tea, and things like that. And tell you what, that Sonic one is amazing. I really love that bag. But the extendable single rod sleeves from Sonic, stay away from them. They're terrible. Can't fit your rod in properly. Can't fit your reel in very well to it. And then the extendable bit and the zip runs down pretty tight against your rod, so you'll scratch the blank of your rod. So stay clear of them. So as them products are done now, I've got a couple of little bits that I'll talk you through that I have. And I'll talk you why I don't own the other parts of the Thinking Anglers range. I'll go through that as well for the reasons for not buying them. Right, so what I'm now going to talk about is a couple of little bags that I've got, and I found these really handy. You know, don't get me wrong, they're not better than anything else on the market. I just feel like they're good, you know, and they do match the range, and I've seen them and bought them because I needed a bag to fit certain things in. So these are they call them the Camfleck bait up bags, and I love this bag, to be honest. It's been a camera bag at times, you know, like for example, I've just done a session this weekend, and unfortunately I was supposed to be there for 2 days, but I only managed the one due to me having issues with the kids. My little girl was pretty ill again, so as per usual, obviously the fishing comes second. So inside it's got a couple of cooler blocks, and I tend to fit, you can fit a 2 litre milk bottle in here, get a bit of bacon, a couple of fins and stuff like that, you know, bits like that. And then obviously a couple of cooler packs that I just stick in there, just the cheap ones from the pound shop sort of thing. And that works really well for that. What it is good for as well, because it does come with a shoulder sleeve, which I've taken off, is you can, I sometimes when I'm going stalking with floaters and things like that, I'll tend to put a load of floaters in one of these as well, and then just have it over my shoulder, take the floater rod round and the net and the mat, you know, to hand, and then it's a good, really good bag for that. And to be honest, the here and all there, you know, I do like them, but would I be worried if I got rid of it? Not really, but am I a fan? Yeah, pretty much, to be honest. And then I've got a couple of these little bags, and I bought this little, the slip style one, and I bought this for holding my Delkim light up bobbins, and also a couple of little bits from Jag, you know, all my spares and bits and bobs, just to put into my Jag bag. And it's a cracking little bag. It's a bit thick, you know, it's a little bit expensive for what it is, but yeah, it comes in handy. Would I be lost without it? Nah, I'd probably just chuck it all in the bottom of my rucksack or my Jag bag. But yeah, not a bad little piece of kit. One bag I do really like is the size of this one. It's a small bag. And what I use this for is I have quite a big bag of leads. I have a load of plastic bags in the van for my leads that I need, depending on what leads I need, helis, zips, etc., inlines. And then when I'm doing a session, what I'll do is I'll put all my leads into this little bag, what I need for the session generally. And you know what, it's been a handy little bag. I'm really happy with that. You know, it's took the brunt of being thrown in and out of my barrel with loads of leads in it, and it's as good as new, to be honest. And that's one thing I'll say about the Thinking Anglers luggage. I believe it's really hard wearing and it will last a lifetime. You know, it's well made, it's well designed. It's designed as it's called, for thinking. You know, when you think, oh, I'd love to change that and make this bit of luggage a bit better, and I think that's what their aim is to do. So a couple of little bits that people love Thinking Anglers wise is the tackle bag, and I've never bothered buying the tackle bag because I've never felt the need at the end of the day. You know, I'm not going to buy something for the sake of it. I'm really happy with the Corda tackle box, and if you haven't seen my review on the Corda tackle box versus the Ridge Monkey versus the tackle safe, then there is a video on that, and just get involved, have a little look at that. And if you're looking at a tackle box, I never bought things like the gas canister pouch. I don't really bother with them. I do have one that I sometimes use in winter, but it came with a bivvy table that I've got, and so I'm not really bothered about matching scales bag, things like that. I've got a Camfleck one that I got for Christmas a couple of years ago, so I'm not really bothered about having everything matching. I've just bought things for certain situations, and that's basically why I've bought them. But one thing that I would definitely not change is the next thing I'm going to get out now and show you. So this bad boy is the Thinking Anglers mat, and I've always been a cradle person. You know, using a mat, you might be a little bit at a disadvantage in the fact that some places won't let you use this mat because it's not a high-sided cradle or high-sided mat or cradle, if that makes sense. But so it is massive, you know, it's a big old mat, this is, and I absolutely love it. You know, once I bought this, and I thought I did have a Daiwa Infinity mat. I did buy a Daiwa Infinity mat, but I started with the Avid Safe something cradle. You know, basically the Avid cradle, I think they call it. I don't know. I can't think of the name of it, but that's a really good cradle. If you're looking for a cradle that you want with all the features, adjustable feet, really well made, then the Avid Safeguard cradle is a cracking bit of kit. However, and I might get slated for this, but you know I'm all about being honest. So at the caravan, we were at the Northern Angling Show, and we were on the Angling Direct stand, and the XL Banter, I think that's Angling Direct's own brand cradle, is phenomenal for the price. I think we got it for about £25 at the show, and I think it's gone up quite a bit now. However, that cradle, apart from it not having adjustable legs, is bang on for the money. You know, for me, that was the best value cradle I've ever bought, and well, as the Avid Safeguard one started to get worn, I ended up using that one more and more, and I did buy two of them. And I used one at the caravan, I used one at home for ages, and I ended up selling me one at home when I thought I'm going to try a mat, and I've never looked back, to be honest, apart from when obviously I'm not allowed to use it. It's really thick, you know, it's really thick and padded. You can see that here, yeah? So what I like about it is it's got this cover as well, and I'm not going to rip it off, but basically it has a cover that goes all the way over it, so you can take this off, and that can be used if the fish is kicking off. You can put your fish on the mat with the water, and it holds water. It doesn't absorb water, which is a great thing, you know. So when you put it away in the van, if you've had it out in the sun, there's no water inside it. It doesn't actually take any of the water in. It's got a waterproof base on the bottom, and that stops the water absorbing there, and it's fully waterproof. So it's mint. I'm not going to lie, it's absolutely mint. And what I like about it is, so you've got this cover, but I don't tend to use this cover for covering fish up, because I don't know, I'd never really find that I need to. I kind of stay closer. And what I like about a mat is, what I find is, when I had a cradle, I used to stand up and rest an elbow on my knee holding the fish. Whereas when I've got a mat, I kneel flat, so my legs are basically down on the floor, and I sit with my bum on my heels and my elbows on me. So I feel like the fish is always a lot closer to the ground, like the centre of gravity for the fish. So if you're going to drop it, it's closer to the mat, and I feel safer with a fish by having a mat, you know. And what I like about the cover is you can flip it back, and if all the ground behind you is slutching, obviously because you're kneeling low, you can just use that. There is actually a kneeling pad on it, and in the kneeling pad you can flick it out, and inside there you can put your carp care kit. But it's a really bad idea, because it's a kneeling pad. You leave your carp care kit in there, and then you kneel on it and squash it and pop the lid off. So I don't tend to put my carp care gear in there. What I do is I just keep it in my barrow. I always have it in the barrow, but I use the cover on the opposite side and kneel on the cover, the top cover, and that stops you getting slutchy. You know, it can be proper muddy, and then obviously you can just wash it off in the water with this. And what I also love about this is, so what I do is I tend to fold it over like this, and you do get a strap for it so you can put it over your shoulder, but I hook these two like grab handles over the handles of my barrow, so this is going towards the front of my barrow, and then it gives you another surface to put like your rod butts and stuff like that on. And then when you're walking with your barrow and you've got it, you can also press against it because it's quite firm as well, so it gives you that little bit of something to lean into when you're pushing your barrow, and I find that's really good. But what it also doubles up as is a bang-on chair. You know, you can lie on this. I've lied on it in the sun. Well, I've lay on it in the sun, and you can sit on it. I tend not to take a chair anymore, because what I'll do is I'll put this on the floor in my bivvy next to me bed chair, and I'll just sit on it against that, or I'll put the back up and use it like a chair like that on my bed chair. So you know what? It is a cracking bit of kit, and if you could offer me any other mat or give me my money back, I'd go out and buy this straight away. You know, I'd chin the cradles off and I'd stick to the mat. I am an avid fan of this, and I've probably gone on about it a bit too much, but no, I'm made up with it. So the last little bit of Thinking Anglers equipment that I've got as such is I've got I think they call it the coverup, and that's what I use this as my tablecloth basically for the tackle shack. And it's a great little bit of kit, and the reason I bought this is because I'm not a big fan of ground sheets. I will put them in when you need them, you know, when it's proper slutchy, or sometimes, you know, when you have to use your ground sheet to float on, when it's that wet, the peg, that you've got that much water that it's like a waterbed, in it, your ground sheet. Well, that's when I'll use it. However, because I take a load of camera gear and stuff like that, and I've got thousands of pounds worth of gear, I don't like what happens with all the luggage. And I'll just take this here, and it happens with any kind of material luggage. So when, obviously, they've got the waterproof bases on all of these, but what you'll find is when you put them on the ground, and tell me I'm wrong, tell me in the comments if you've not experienced this yourself, is what you'll find is as the ground's really wet, the material around it will suck up the moisture, and then you'll open your bag, or you'll go home and like your carryalls and stuff like that, there'll be water in the bottom of your bag where it's got like moisture and dew that's sucked into your bag, and you find that stuff in the bottom of your bag wet from it. So tell me if that's something that you've experienced, but that's what I find with all material luggage. So I would change to something like Fox Aqueous luggage, off, you know, of that EVA material, because that's what I used to use in the match fishing scene. But what you find with that sort of luggage is if your stuff's wet when you put it in there, it sweats, you know, you end up with it, the water's got nowhere to go. And it's also, I find, like EVA luggage kinks and breaks, and the welds on them start to, because I chuck my luggage in and out of the van, you know, I'm not like dead soft with it. It gets used what it's used for, and I find that I wouldn't use that luggage for that. Even though I think it'd be great, I definitely just stick with what I've got. And by putting this mat underneath your bed, and that's what I use it for, you know, that little bit behind your bivvy where you put, well, that's one thing I've gone to the frontier that I'm really missing, is that little small triangle that you get on the back of a Tempest, where you can put like your rucksacks and bits and bobs, or your cool bag behind your bed. You don't get that with the frontier. And this mat, I literally have it where I've got a little bit of space to put this on it, and then obviously under my bed, all my luggage sits on top of this, and I find that it's not wet through, and when I'm getting home, it's not going mouldy and stuff like that in the winter and stuff where it's staying damp. So no, I find it a great little bit of kit. I have got the barra cover, but it can be used as a barra cover. Never used it myself. I have attempted to use it as a bit of a sunshade in a really bad sunny day, and it worked for that. But other than that, you know, basically it's just a cover up mat, and I'm happy with it. I quite like it. So yeah, it's a good little bit of kit. Right, so we've come to the end, and that's about it for my luggage that I own, Thinking Anglers wise, you know. So if you can give this video a little cheeky like, you know, and what I want out of this video is, if you're interested in why I haven't bought certain items of Thinking Anglers luggage, etc., or what I use instead, comment down below and I'll give you my honest opinion. I'm not someone who's just going to change it to buy it because it matches. I'll give you my honest opinion on why I haven't and what I use instead. And you know what? It might save you some money, because you're always thinking by changing it, you'll get something better, or it'll be better. And sometimes you find that's not the case. That's why I'm trying to give these honest reviews. What I'm thinking about doing, and I just want to say thank you for everybody who's got involved in my previous video, you know, that's nearly at well, I think it's over 5,000 views now, and I never expected anything like that from these, you know. It was all about learning how to use lighting more than anything, and I'm getting into my video quite a lot now, but I've always been massively into photography. So if you're interested in what I'd like to do, is I'm going to do a live. I'm going to go live on YouTube. I'll premiere it and I'll set a time. I'll post it on my Instagram and my Facebook page, and obviously you'll see a premiere. So if you've not, if you could subscribe and hit the bell notification if it's something you're interested in, then that'll tell you when that's going on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a live question and answer on how to take better self-takes, you know, if you're interested in anything for vlogging. You know, my vlogs aren't great, but I have the capability to do a lot better, if that makes sense. If I had the time to do the editing and the filming, and I was filming somebody else, it'd be a total different standard. And if any of you have been watching the vlogs and you like them, let us know in the comments down below if you do like them and what you want changing in them. Anyway, so from this session, you know, you can send me some pictures if you want at Caravan Carpers on Instagram, or on Facebook if you want to send me anything on there, and I'll go over them. You know, I'll put them on the screen and I'll talk to you what I would have done differently to make that better. You know, there's only so much you can be capable of with a phone camera, and the main thing but I can give you some tips on that. But the main thing I'm interested in, or my strength, is DSLRs, mirrorlesses, etc., and stuff like that. And I have quite a bit of experience with Canon, and I use Sony now. So if any of you want a little bit of a question and answer on that, then let me know in the comments down below. And if I get enough people commenting saying they'd be interested in it, because it's massive nowadays, you know, photography. And obviously, if you're interested in vlogging and you want any tips on how to achieve better video quality, you know, because you don't have to buy all top of the range cameras. And I couldn't, if I'll do it in the question and answers thing, I'll prove to you that that's not the case. You know, I'll show you a picture and you'll think that it's took with a top end camera, and it's actually not. It's took with a really low end camera. You just got to get your lighting right. So if it's something you're interested in, get in the comments down below, hit the subscribe button. So if you are interested, you'll know when it's coming. And we'll see you in the next one. See you next week for Tackle Tuesdays. Caravan Carpers out.